Hi there, it's Brian Sebastian, Movie Reviews and More, the Women's Broadcast TV Network, which is now called Worldwide TV Network, and IT 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee. So, co-hosting again today, Joanna, who the hell are you? Where are you coming from?
My name is Joanna Panayi. I am from Ontario, Canada, and I have a blog called trendingme.ca, and that is who I am.
And then on the bottom, the one and only Helena Jiujitsu Girl, which is I always wanted to talk to her. So, do you remember when we first met after you won? What was he? How many medals did you win? Was it two? Was it three at the World Jiu-Jitsu contest?
It was just one gold medal in gi because I only did gi at that event.
Talk about, pronounce your whole name for us.
Helena Krivar.
And what nationality are you?
13 years old. I was born in the USA, but my parents are from Serbia.
That's what I thought. So I've been wanting to interview you for a long time. I'm always paying attention to what you're doing. Talk about how many contests have you won in general? And when did you know you wanted to be Helena Jiujitsi, which I think is a great name?
So I started 5 years ago in June, and for the last 2 years, I've been competing, and I've done 30 fights. I won all 30, and
Wow.
I won 26 by submission.
What?
That's incredible. I didn't know you had won that many. And you're still fighting right now too, right? You got something, you just had something, was it last weekend?
Yeah, last weekend I did fight to win, and I won by submission, and it was in 2.5 minutes.
Wow, were you surprised?
Yeah, I was. It was my second time fighting at Fight to Win, and both of those times I won by submission. I did one in gi and one in no gi.
What?
So when you say fight to win, what is that for the audience that doesn't know that?
So Fight to Win is a super fight event. So it's one match per each. So you can only watch one match, and everyone is watching them. It's live on Flow Grappling, and you can watch it, and it's amazing. It has a lot of cool effects.
Wow.
So, like, when you do a fight, when you get ready to do a big fight, like, are you nervous? Do you get really nervous, or do you have a ritual before you start fighting to make sure you're in like that state of mind to do your best?
So, like, sometimes I am nervous, but I notice the more I compete, I get less nervous, and I like to like jump in place or run in place before I get on the mat so that I can get a little warmed up.
Oh wow! So like, was there any out of all the fights that you have done? Because I'm sure you've done a lot. You have obviously a lot of practice. But with all your fights, what was the most like unexpected thing that has happened during a match of yours? Like, was there anything that you were like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, or something happened in the fight and you didn't, like, something completely unexpected? What, like, tell us a story. Tell us a story about like your most exhilarating fight, if you know.
So I've had a couple of tough fights. On Pan Kids 2018, I fought a girl that was 25 or 30 pounds heavier than me.
Oh my goodness.
And the first fight, she did a judo throw on me and she mounted me. But then I got a chance because there was a third girl, I got a chance to fight her, and I won by submission. So I got a chance to fight the big girl again. And then she tried to judo throw me again, but then I took her back, and I was really surprised. because I was really tired after that, but then I won with 4 points. And also at Worlds 2019, there was a really tough girl in my division. She was really strong, and but I passed her guard, and she actually caught me in an armbar, but I escaped, and I won by 3 points.
And how, like, do you get really injured sometimes when you fight? Like, is there, I'm sorry, I don't know a lot. Please don't mind my lack of knowledge, but have you ever gotten like really injured after a fight?
Not in competition, but I did once in training. When I was doing wrestling, I hurt my back and I had to sit out for 2 weeks.
Are people very intimidating? Did you ever find someone being like extremely intimidating or very more aggressive than usual? Like how do you deal with that if you come across somebody like that?
Well, I try to slow them down if they're really quick or aggressive, and I just focus more on my technique, and I trust what I do.
Yeah.
When you're on the mat, what is it that because now you're the target, you're the one who's undefeated. You're like that Ronda Rousey in a way. When in the jiu-jitsu world, how does that make you feel? Because I saw you fight and I was like, wow, she's pretty cool. But I also liked who was creating your outfits. You got to talk about that too, because you got someone who just makes some great outfits for you.
For the outfits, it's Hero Sports. I always get them from Brazil, and they have really cool designs. They also have leggings that I use as sets.
And do you have when, I'm sure you do because with you training and everything, but you have a sense of community there? Like, do you have other people, like friends of yours that come to your matches, or people that also fight? Do you become friends with people from other countries when you do these huge matches? Like, how is the atmosphere when you go into like a big fight and it's a huge tournament or something like that, and there's a bunch of people? Like, how's that atmosphere for somebody who's actually fighting in one of those places?
So when I fight, it's like if it's really big, I get a little nervous, but I like it because if I win, it means that I get a big result, and I do make friends. Like if sometimes my opponents, we follow each other on Instagram and we talk sometimes.
That's cool. And everyone seems to be pretty, is everyone usually like just really nice? I don't know, because this is a sport where you're like fighting and there's physical contact and everything. So I guess when you watch the movies, you watch a movie and everybody's just like so tough and like sweating and giving you the death stare, and you feel like you're gonna die, you know what I mean? But I don't think it's actually like that. So I just would like you to elaborate more. Like, are people like usually very nice? It's a competition, so I guess maybe there's like some people that I guess maybe there's just like, I'm sure there's some people that are more intimidating than others. But have you ever come across that when you like walk into a room and you're like, oh god, this person wants to beat me up?
Well, actually, sometimes they do, like they look at me like it's gonna be easy or they're gonna beat me up, but then they get surprised when I beat them or when I give them trouble. And when I fought adults, like there was this girl, she was really mad at the end and she didn't want to come to the podium, but I was fine with that because I still won, and it was like it was fine.
So when did you start training? How did this all lead up to what is your story like to where you are now? Like, how did this all lead up to this?
So I started training because I was gonna do strength and conditioning, and the owner of the gym said that he has jiu-jitsu too and I should try it. So I tried it and I really liked it, and from then on I really wanted to do it all the time. And like after 3 or 4 months in, I already wanted to compete, but I never wanted to compete in any other sport I did before. So I really liked it.
Oh, that's
What's your
amazing.
ranking right now, Helena?
So in Jiu-Jitsu World League, I am ranked #1 for the blue belt female because I fought in the blue belt adult division twice and I won. I had 2 fights, I had 3 fights and I won 2 by submission in there. So that got my ranking high up.
Wow.
What about the third one? So the third fight you did what?
The third fight was by points 8-0.
Wow. So you got everybody looking at you as we have to beat her now. We got to beat that jujitsu girl. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm fine. I'm fine with a challenge. There's a lot of people who might want to try, but I'm ready.
I'm sure you are.
I love your confidence. I love how you're just sitting there and you're just talking to us and you're like, yeah, I know. I get kind of nervous, but I trust myself. Like, how old are you?
I'm 13.
You're 13. You're 13 years old and you are so strong. You're honestly radiating from this screen of mine. I wish we were all in person, but I'm just saying that you are a very strong young woman, and I honestly can't wait to see what you do in the future, because your mentality right now is way beyond your years, and I'm sure with what you do that obviously helps, but just saying that you trust yourself, just don't ever doubt that, because there are times that we don't trust ourselves, but don't ever doubt that, and just keep saying that, because you are honestly like such a warrior.
Thank you.
Like, such a warrior. You're welcome. I'm gonna
So
say it again.
jujitsu
You're a
girl,
warrior.
what's the training like now? When you went to the dojo, what's the ritual as far as, being checked, wearing a mask? How's everybody adapting to that right now?
So I'm training 2 times a day. Everyone has to get a temperature check, and sometimes we do solo drills, sometimes we drill together, but mostly it's like social distancing, sometimes not, but it depends.
How was it when you went to, because your last competition was in Arizona, right?
No, I was in Texas.
Oh, Texas. All right. So how was that? You drove down or you flew down?
We flew. It was a 2-hour flight.
What was that like for you going to the airport, getting on the airplane, landing? Were you nervous? Because this is a whole new world now. What was that like for you mentally?
So it was a really early flight and I was tired, but I was still focused on my fight, and I was still ready, and yeah.
With everything that's going on now with COVID and um, just the whole climate of it all, how much has it changed your day-to-day life when training and going to fights, and even the fights themselves? You explained briefly about that, but how much has it changed, and also what do you see in the foreseeable future according to what the pandemic is causing for what you do?
So I feel like wearing masks and things, like it's okay, but I think it's gonna get better, and I'm mostly focusing on jiu-jitsu more than the virus.
Yeah,
How's the school?
that's a good.
You're supposed to be starting school pretty soon, right? Would you say?
Yeah, I think it's next week. But I always do homeschooling, so it's not really going to change for me. Maybe just for the tests, I might have to do them online instead of going to the headquarters doing them there.
So you're used to doing this anyhow, so it's not really anything for you, right?
No, I have always done homeschooling.
What is it like when you, cause you can't see some of your friends, right? Or is that difficult for you too?
Well, I have a friend through homeschooling. We text, and I have other friends too that are out of school, like from jiu-jitsu and from like just my parents and things like that.
Talk about your school. Why is your school important? Where you train? Talk about that.
Well, when I for school, like it teaches me like how to get more confident, because sometimes the teacher calls me up just to talk on the microphone or read things, so or or just to like talk with each other, because sometimes we have social groups and there we can hang out and things like that.
And how do you balance school and jujitsu?
So I just started during the summer to train 2 times a day, but otherwise I have classes that are required sometimes, so I might not be able to go to jiu-jitsu, but I have a more flexible schedule with homeschooling, so I can do some things later after training or before training.
So talk about
Wow.
your, how did you come up with, the Jiujitsi Girl, which I thought was very creative. How did you come up with that? Was it something you thought about, or like, I'm just going to have this name?
So actually, it came naturally. Like my parents were thinking about some designs to do for me, and then we came up with Jiu-Jitsu Girl, and it just stuck.
So give the audience your social media link in case they don't know it already.
It's Helena Jiujitsu Girl, HELE Jiu-Jitsu Girl.
So we got about 5 minutes left. Talk about what's important, what it does for you, and where you want to go from here between now and the end of the year. What do you got lined up?
So I'm trying to get as many competitions as I can, either super fights or regular competitions. And for the future, I want to compete more and travel more, doing seminars and opening my own gym.
Nice. Those are great goals.
I
And
could
I'm sure
see
you're
I
gonna
could see her doing
succeed.
that, Joanna,
I
easily.
could totally see her doing, and you're gonna totally succeed with your mentality right now. And 5 years, 2 years, I cannot wait to see where you're gonna be.
Thank you.
You're
See, and
welcome.
that's why I'm following you. I wanted to be the first to say I interviewed her before anybody else did. All right, so give your social media links one more time and your record and ranking.
So it's Helena Jiu-Jitsu Girl, and I'm ranked #1 in Jiu-Jitsu World League for the female adult blue belt.
And your record. How many fights?
And I have, for the last 2 years, I have 30 fights, all wins, and 26 are by submission.
You can't
Nice.
get really any better than that, Joanna.
It really doesn't. I don't even know what to say half the time. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. So fierce.
All right, Helena, I want to thank you for jumping on, and I'm always going to be following what you're doing. And, if you get a chance, I want you to follow Joanna on her trendingme.ca straight out of Canada, because I have a feeling she's going to end up following you and writing something on you eventually.
I will. I'll keep in contact with you for sure.
Thank you for the opportunity.
You're welcome. We'll talk to you soon, and I'll see you online, okay?
Okay.
All right, so for Brian Sebastian and for Joanna and Jiu-Jitsu Girl, the one and only, I want to thank everybody for that. So if you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours, and we will see you next